hope you are loving everything you are learning. You are in Astro Boot Camp. This is training video number 3, and this is where we're going to dive straight into the modes. And it's really important that we build a strong foundation, and then in increments as we go along, we're going to be applying it and giving you really awesome lessons and tools to really bring it into your life. So when it comes to the modes, there's 3 different types of modes. We have cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And I know you probably remember from our first training video that the 4 elements combine with the 3 modes to make the 12 signs of the zodiac. So this is why we are focusing so deeply on the elements and the modes, is because once you get that deep understanding, everything else becomes super easy. Now there are 3 modes, and it's really easy to understand, so I don't want us to complicate it too much, because that's typically what happens, right, in astrology. But the first mode is called cardinal, the second mode is fixed, and the third is mutable. And you remember, this is how, when we were looking at this before, that the astrological birth chart is always kind of divided up in these different ways. And then the modes are kind of what's happening within these different segments, right? So this always being the cardinal, this being the fixed, and this being the mutable, repeating itself all the way around the astrological birth chart. So just keep that in mind as we're moving through this lesson. Cardinal is a beginning energy. I mean, you already know that, right? When you see the number 1, it's a starter energy. It's an initiating force. It's very much in the present moment. So when someone's very present, they tend to be a little bit more charismatic. They tend to be a natural leader. They have that sparkle in their eye, right? And they're very active. This is because they're really connected to the moment and they're showing up fully, right? So this cardinal person definitely has a very powerful presence. Now, the number 2 mode, fixed, this is a very, very responsible energy and reliable. It's very much focused on the past and the future. So it wants to see how behaviors are creating the future, and how what you're doing today is going to bring a goal in the future, and that's why it kind of gives it this goal-oriented presence. So that's the fixed mode. Now the third is much more flexible. It's kind of the one that goes with the flow. It's your friend who just doesn't seem to be worried about the same things you're worried about. Very relaxed energy. They are really interacting with time in a different way than the first 2, where it's kind of like past, present, future. They're just kind of flowing through it all. They're not really hung up on any specific aspect of their experience here, which gives them the laid back personality, but oftentimes they can kind of maybe not be able to achieve all that they want to achieve because they are so just going with the flow. And they're going to be definitely easy kind of and comfortable to be around, right? Because they're not having all this pressure and stress and all that kind of craziness just following them all of the time, right? So that's going to be the modes. There really is this kind of connection back to the life cycle, with birth connecting to the number 1 mode, cardinal, and you see how that connects, right? Initiating, present, leader, active. And the second is this life, right? There's a clear starting point and there's a clear ending point. And that's that fixed energy. It's responsible, it's reliable, it's concerned about the past and future. It wants to make the best of its life. So it tends to be more goal-oriented. And then we're moving into number 3. And this is you can call it death. I prefer the word transition, because it's like that death rebirth place, because there's really no ever an ending without a new beginning. And this is really connecting back into that flexible, relaxed, kind of past, present, future, easy, comfortable present. And this is how the elements are going to have the 3 different ways that they differ, okay? We talked in that first couple trainings, about how the elements are really kind of this dominant force in astrology, and then the modes are what are kind of like focus it in and give it its different kind of characteristics. Okay, so now it's just putting it all together, okay? So in astrology, this is always the formula: 4 elements times the 3 modes is what creates the 12 signs of the zodiac. And now you know what the elements mean, and you know what the modes mean. So really, you know the 12 signs. So I'm going to give you a really quick introduction to them. And this isn't about memorization. This is just about feeling and beginning to put these pieces together. And in the next training, we will get some awesome exercises for you to kind of put it all to the test to see if astrology really works, if you really are jiving with this. But for now, stick with me. Here is the chart, and you guys already know that it's commonly looked at by dividing it up and then seeing the deeper patterns that are kind of created within it. So fire starts off the zodiac, okay? So Aries is the first sign in the zodiac, always. And this one is made of fire, right? So you see fire here, and you see also that this is the cardinal mode. So Aries is cardinal fire, and this is the energy of the warrior. So each of these signs has an archetype. And when I first started learning, it was so much easier for me just to understand the energy of the archetype than to try to memorize 12 new things. Taurus is the second sign in the zodiac, and this is going to be an earth element, and it has the fixed mode. This is called the builder. You're already going to be able to begin to feel and sense and get this in your own way. And that's what's so important, because astrology does tap into your intuition quite a bit. Gemini, the third sign. This is going to be your air with the mutable mode. And this is the storyteller. Okay? You're feeling this. You're sensing it. You're getting a sense of how the energies change and shift. And this was that spring season, remember, from that first lesson. And now you move into the fourth sign, which is Cancer, which is, I was just going to draw you the Cancer, but I'll just put the W, sorry. Boop. So that's the water. And this is cardinal, right? So you're seeing the repetition here. And Cancer is the archetype of the nurturer. We have Leo, the performer. And over here, we have Earth and the mutable. And that is the sign Virgo. This is known as the craftsman. Now I'm drawing your attention to the bottom of the chart for a very specific reason. These are the first 6 signs in the zodiac, okay? The planets always move through the signs, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and kind of like create that continuous movement forward, except for when they go retrograde, where they kind of appear to be moving back, but aren't really, okay? And these first 6 signs are all about the I. Okay, this is all about the I. It's about the individual. Okay, so just add that on there. The individual. And they build on each other. So Aries the warrior is this kind of fiery energy. It's very present. It's very in the moment. Imagine when people were back in the day, just like fight or flight, having to, get their food, and it was all about survival, right? And so that's Aries. Taurus, whoa, now you're moving into like thinking ahead. Remember how I was talking about how they kind of toggle to the past, to the future, and they're like, well, couldn't I just capture the bigger animal and eat for longer so I have more time for naps? Like Taurus builds on Aries. And then once they were thinking a little differently and they had that past kind of to the future and there was a little bit more goal orientation, right? It moved into this Gemini, the storyteller. Well, what do you do when you have extra time? Well, you start to develop relationships, right? And once you start to develop relationships, you can see how this goes into Cancer. You start to create and care a little bit more. You start to, have a little bit more investment over the people around you because they are now taking on new meaning. And thus, once you kind of moved into that, you care. You want to know their reaction. You want to create a connection. You want to be a specific type of person now so that you have a kindred relationship. You're wanting to be different. And then as that happens, you're kind of seeing this cycle developing. And Virgo's looking back and seeing all the different ways that the individual has developed. And now is like a fine-tuning sort of perfectionist, if you will, to make that as efficient as possible. So that's how those signs are like building on each other. And once you get that the first 6 signs are all about kind of this this individual journey, that individual growth and personality, well, we're going to dive straight into the top part, which is all about the we, and see how the elements come together and form that deeper relationship. All right, cool. Now we're going to take a look at the last 6 signs of the zodiac, right? This top portion. And right here, you have Libra, and it's the air element with the cardinal mode. And Libra is the peacemaker. That's the archetype it's associated with. Then we come into Scorpio, which is the water with that fixed mode again. And this is the alchemist. Now we get to go to Sagittarius. My daughter's a Sagittarius. And it is fire with a mutable mode. And watch, you're going to kind of begin to sense it would be a little bit more free-flowing, right? It's the philosopher. Then we're right over here to Capricorn. Earth. Once, see this is repeating again. The cardinal. And I know it might seem repetitive, but it's really, really good to understand it in this way, because then you'll never forget. Is the entrepreneur. We move straight into Aquarius. We're almost finishing up the pattern now, which is air with fixed mode. And this is the inventor. And then last but not least, the last sign in the zodiac, Pisces, which is water immutable, the artist. And different people use different archetypes. These just were the ones that I really kind of connected with and felt very true for me in my heart. And the top portion of the chart in these last 6 signs, right? So signs 7 through 12 are all about the we. These are all relationship focused signs. And as you saw when I was talking about like how the first 6 signs are really building out the personality and the I, and there is this kind of I focus. Now it's almost like, well, who am I in relationship to the other people? So now, you've created a world where you get to toggle between the past and the future and create different sorts of levels of freedom with your present moment and changing your goals, and all that stuff is coming about, right, from these first signs. And you saw that. And now it's moving into the energy of the top, which is Libra, which is all about partnerships and relationships. Scorpio is all about kind of how do you control or how do you create the relationships you want? Sagittarius says, well, let's talk about what the heck is a relationship. Let's get all esoteric and metaphysical and philosophize, right? Then Capricorn is very much like, well, how do we work together? Now that we're like really solidifying relationships, how do we work together? And Aquarius is like, yeah, for the good of humanity. Like, how do we do this together for the good of humanity? And Pisces then is coming in and just is this beautiful, beautiful total energy of all the zodiac signs. It's kind of tapping right back into, well, how do I remember to be an individual, but yet the we? Because Pisces feels both. It's such this energy of knowing the both. So that is how it all comes together. And it is a powerful way to not only understand astrology, but to understand life and where you are and what's going on. I'm really excited for the next boot camp because we're going to be putting all this stuff to practice and really showing you actually how astrology applies to your life, which I'm all about, because what's the point of knowing this if you don't get to use it as a tool? I am a Taurus, if you didn't know. No, and I definitely do that past future toggle, very goal-oriented, very much wanting everything to have a level of efficiency and resourcefulness, and I definitely think you'll see that through the training. So catch you in the next one. Bye.